Hey, good evening, South Africa. I am profusely sorry and I apologize from the bottom of my heart for having used vulgar language towards Casper's mom. I apologize. It was not the intention. I had hoped it not to be that way. And to Casper and the family and the entire community of South Africa and the women in general, I apologize for having used the B word. I am humbly, I apologize. And I am also saying that the challenge, it is meant. I'd love to be in the ring with Casper, and he's a good fighter, but I'd just love to be in the ring, Liana. It's not seeking fame, but I will define the cause, why this must happen as time goes on. But Casper, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm old enough to have known that the language was off, and I'm sorry that it got posted before we could edit, but I apologize profusely to you in your person, in your profession, and to you as a man, as an artist, as a creative artist, a very dynamic person, and to you and your family for having brought this unnecessary and unwarranted attraction to you and to South Africans. I'm saying ke kopa tshwarelo for having used that bad word at the end of it, of my utterances. It's got nothing to do with fame. It's got nothing to do with anything. But I'm hoping that I will have a conversation, Le Casper and any other, so that we can have this. I'm training very hard to be in the ring, Le Casper. I don't stand a chance, but I'm training very hard at the it's entertainment, but I humbly apologize for having used the wrong words and in reference to Mama Casper, and I apologize profusely, humbly so.
Good evening to you and to the viewers of eNCA. I struggled through today because of who and what Patrick was, not just to us as colleagues, but to the public out there. I first saw Patrick on the productions of Firetown, and many of those who saw the production will tell you about that moment when he had his head in his hand, and spoke about the pain of being uprooted from a place where you're called home. Very memorable, discipline, the kind of performance where as directors we often say, no, don't act, just speak it and live it and touch that raw nerve. That was him. And then I directed him in a play at the Maake Theatre with Motsabi Kelele. And you see, the bigger an actor you are, the more directable you are, the more you bring discipline and humility to the art of the work that you do. And so he allowed me, he went into the industry before me, but he allowed me to direct him and give it his best shot. And then, of course, I can't remember the television production we were together in. And, you know, as an actor, you bring your homework to the set and you interact with other actors. And so it was that thing that, listen, when we get on set, let's show the director fire. Let's bring in our aces and the best of what we can do. And then one day I was asked to go and speak to the Seven the Lion cast. And there he was listening to me, taking notes. And I thought, what? But here's the thing. The bigger you are, the more teachable you are. You understand that there are other legends and giants in the industry that you can always pick up a few tricks from. And so my last moment for those who were there was like a month and a half ago, when we had the unveiling of Bragib's tombstone. And there he was, running all over, capturing pictures, happy as everything. He got an opportunity to go and speak. He said a few words and he called me up to the stage and said, Brajeri, come and say something. And as I always joked with him, from his surname Shai, I always said, once beaten, twice shy. And I spoke there. And then when we got to the cemetery, he threw me onto the tombstone and I took photos. And he just put people aside. He didn't want his own photos. He pushed others to get the best shot. And so I just marveled at the greatness of his spirit and the humility that he brought on stage, in the rehearsal room, on set. And so I don't know. A giant has gone on his knees. And I don't know the truthfulness of the messages we hear about him possibly having committed suicide. But you see, people do sometimes forget that when the makeup is off, when the costumes are off, we get home and we are daddy, uncle, brother, husband, and we face all that everybody faces, just like everybody who has to struggle with the pandemic and the economics and everything. And so please understand, I don't know the inner story, I don't know what we are going through. I've heard about the video where he was threatening Nyovest and challenging him and what have you. We are human. We are human. We hurt. And I think it highlights this need, this desperate need for all of us to get support into the mental illnesses and challenges that we're facing through this pandemic in all our industries. But I'm sad. A giant, a humble giant, a disciplined giant has left us.
Guys, angifuna ukungasho. Social media is toxic. Like, guys, the social media igcwele ngabantu aba-cold. Social media igcwele ngabantu abanganathando. Sometimes kunabanye abantu abanethwayo empilweni zabo. Bayanethwa. Yazi bayenzani? Bayenza show ukuthi mabanethwa kanjalo bangena emizini yabantu, bavula amarufu abanye abantu ukuthi imvula zingenele kwabanye abantu, bafile lento bayifilayo. Bathi misery relax company. Misery relax company. Abantu abe social media ba toxic kabuhlungu.
You know, Patrick should be remembered as someone who had a passion for life. But beyond that, who had a passion for his community. And I mean, I remember one time, I had to come and see him when he had actually joined the march, around his area when people were protesting. I think it was around issues of electricity. Patrick was an activist, both politically and socially.
It just reminded me about what I always speak about in terms of men really bottling stuff in a lot, about what people go through and we never know. And there's a lot that goes on in my head which I might not be able to say now, but I'll say what I possibly can say. The aim is to help someone who's going through stuff. The aim is to save someone. the aim is to help those, or make some people aware of the impact of what words can do, what certain actions can do to other people, to be more kinder, to be more sensitive, to be more understanding. Social media is the biggest cause of suicide because of cyberbullying, because of certain apps are about that, Twitter being one of them. TikTok is now going there. TikTok is losing its fun and the purpose of why it was created. Twitter, it's been normal. The cancel culture, the bullying, the vileness, and we now live in a generation of happy pictures and sad hearts and dark places, and it's really sad. But Patrick, for instance, I've known him personally, and I could look at this two ways. I wouldn't just jump into the conclusion that it's the reason why he committed suicide. We never know. I don't know. He committed suicide, could be what happened, the last incident. No. But it could be the ultimate enough is enough for him. Or it could not be. It could be a whole lot of things that he was going through, but we don't know. But that reminded us, it's possible that it is that. And what does it say about us? What does it say about us? I watched the video where he was talking about the fight and stuff like that, and still I watched it once and I could tell that this was a joke. This was a joke. Everything was a joke, including that, but it came out wrong to a certain extent, but he apologized, and then, but hey, social media went in. And now we're gonna live with, are we responsible? Because we are partly responsible then. Are we gonna live with that? We could have avoided that.
He was my brother. Patrick had this tendency to, okay, he didn't like to be alone. That's the one thing. But he had this tendency of taking you with him. If he saw that there was a light in that tunnel, he would take you with him and says, there's gold down there, come, let's go. A selfless human being that has left us, a comrade. I'm the eldest now in our group, and I don't like it because I used to stand up and say, you know, Shai, I don't like what you guys are doing. He's gone. Almost a year, almost to the day after Umenzi. I hope this is not an annual thing for us. Musadi Moholo, I think only an ounce of your pain. I know Ndwana loved you. We spent many intimate moments with him, but we never forgot your place in his heart. We were the side pieces. You were always Musadi Moholo. And I don't think in any of the productions that I spent with him that closely did he not mention you. Not a single one. That's how I respected you before I met you. And I'm grateful to you that you were able to lend him to us and allow us to share a piece of him. He allowed us into his family. I see Lekhetu and I didn't recognize him because I knew him when he was a tiny little thing. That's how much he allowed us into his life. I will forever forever be grateful to him, helping me to stand. A lot of my chutzpah, people say, hey, Nambitha une cheek. I was hiding behind him. I could be loud because I knew he'd back me up. That's what happens when you have to stand up for yourself now. Jabulela.
That we all take our seats and we listen to our mother. Mommy, over to you.
La morena waka, mphulusi waka, Jesu Christ. Minister, MEC, and an entertainment industry, all the stakeholders, our supporters, South Africa, I greet you all in the name of Jesus. I'm a daughter of God. I'm not an actor. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I'm not a robot, but I'm a human being. My children, I love them from the bottom of my heart. I'm not crying for Patrick right now. I'm crying for my kids. How are they going to recover from this? How? But I know God will be your father. I know God will always be there. Patrick was a child. He played a lot. But I never called him Patrick. I never called him Brapet. People know him as that. Brapet, Jita, Masechaba, Micho, Pedido. But I called him Ntwana. I called him Ntwana. Lately, nakena dinthong, say are baby. And then I would be like, how? Okay. Lately, I would remember Nana, and then he will call me that. How? Okay. I am humbled by the support I am humbled by the love. I am humbled by, you know, I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to start, Minister. I don't know where to start, South Africa. With all those that loved him and all those that didn't like him, he still remained a human being. Patrick and I, or let me say Ntwana, we were opposites. I always say that. We were like this. My job was to ground him all the time. And I knew his face when he's about to say something naughty, something silly. Before he stands up, I'll hold him and say, Ntwana, hold it. Hold it. And when he gets on stage, he'll say, hey, bang khalemets. But I'll say what I want to say. I want to say, he portrayed all of you guys. He portrayed all of you. All of you are going through what he was going through in different ways. But for some reason, I found all of you judging him. And you need to start judging yourself. Look at your fingers before you do this. How many? This pain is deep, very deep. I want you guys to understand it is deep. For my kids, it is deep. For my grandkids, it is so deep. He loved my kids with all his heart. He was a father first. He was a husband. He was a caretaker. He carried us. We were not perfect, and he was not perfect. Being on TV does not make you perfect. Putting on that makeup does not make you perfect. All the challenges in the world affect every one of us. Challenges don't say who is on TV, who is not. Okay, that one is not on TV. Let me challenge. He faced all those challenges. Minister, there is a problem in the country. I used to be a victim of this man. In our lifetime, I stopped living a life of being a victim, because, you know, when you are a victim, you get the support like this. I'll share, and I spoke to myself and my God and my family that we need to fight this. I don't want to be looked at as a victim. I don't want that. He was a perpetrator like all of you men and women who are in this place. If I can say, raise up your hand, who is not or who has never been a perpetrator, would you do that? Raise up your hand. If you have never offended or victimized someone, if you have never said hi, clapping someone who didn't even want to be touched on her bums, tell me if you didn't do that in your lifetime. Tell me if you didn't abuse your powers wherever you are working. Tell me that. I was never intimidated by these beautiful women who became the wives of my husband. I was never intimidated. Never. The one thing that Patrick was, he laughed so deep. And when he said, I am sorry, he meant it. He meant it. He was very playful. Sometimes when he says sorry, I would say like, obvious, you will say that. but do you mean it? I always had to wake him up and say, you are not Nkusheng in my house. We are not acting here. We are not. My kids are hurting because of the country that my husband loved. But I'm not angry. All I need from South Africa and the rest of the world, if they are, is that my kids need your prayers. Living in that environment where your father is on spotlight all the time. We are not like that. I'm not a spotlight person. When I walked here, I'm like, this is the life that I didn't want. And he knew that. Patrick was passionate. I mean, taking a selfie with him, we needed to act and go, like he will tell me, stand like this. Just a mere selfie. Just a mere, all I'm saying is play your part and get out of it. Because fans, when they meet you in the malls, they expect you to behave like Nkusheng. And they carry those characters. They carry those, debrief, guys. I don't want to call my husband Nkusheng. I always reprimand my whole family when they can't even say Molefe or Patrick. I said, you're going to forget who your brother is. And you keep calling me Nkusheng, Pasha, whoever, all these names that he was called. When he started talking about him being a perpetrator, we were all hurt. Trust me. The wounds were open again. My kids suffered. They were angry with me because society also says to Masechaba, why are you staying there? Why are you still there? When I wrote the book, a lot of women said, I'm sending a wrong message. Yes, I stayed. But there was no money. It was not about fame. It was because I wanted my kids not to be confused. I wanted them to belong. I wanted them to belong, to know who they are, in spite of who their father was or was all about. I loved him. I got angry with him. I packed my bags so many times, guys. South Africa, I packed. And when he came and pleaded and cried, I said, I hope you're not acting. So step out of the acting part. Once you've debriefed, let's talk. Let's talk. We loved him dearly. We still love him. They call him Ntwana. I mean, that's how he is. Ntwana every time. Ntwana, we want pizza. Ntwana, we want this. He calls his sons Bojita. That's how simple he was. I once said to him, let's move from Dobsonville, like Sentin, because, And then he said, yo, ke tlo tlogela toropong, ka tla mo, ka tlo groove. He was from Meadowlands, I'm from Dobsonville. But he knows batho ba Dobsonville more than I know them. More, like he's made friends with people that I was scared of, people that I was afraid of. They even said, how did you get this girl? Because she used to run. My parents gave him permission to marry me at the age of 17. Our marriage had all seasons of challenges. All seasons. All seasons. But I don't know where the strength was coming, but I know God always gave me strength daily. I would pray and say, God, here's my cup. It's empty, fill it up. And that's the strength that I used this whole week. People were coming and they were expecting me, like, it was his time, I I always told them, "Hore, this man Hana's Piri, you know, I never told him about the lives of my friends and all of that, because he will just boom one day. But this likunutu, he kept that likunutu from me, because it was his likunutu le Modimo wa gae. It was his likunutu. I didn't know Market Theatre. It's because of him. I don't know how to buy groceries, guys. This man would buy me groceries all the time. He will duplicate everything and he buys. This man did all he can with all his faults, with all his, he was laughing all the time. We would have a fight with the family, and then they will call us and they would want to say, "What happened?" And then I'll explain. When it comes to him, he starts crying. And then I'll say, "Now he's acting again." Because I never took him serious. I still felt that even on Saturday, he will say, "Eish, Ntwana, nikidlala ka wena." So the reality hit me late in the evening. Because he was always playing, and I was always this serious person. And he always, like, Masechaba, stop being serious. And I said, this house, it will be chaos, fell. Chaos. So I kept it together. And I remember telling him, you know, I'm a mother. I have to cover. But no, he was born to be on the spotlight, to display the social ills, Minister. I really believe that everything that he was, some of you are. So deal with your issues. Really start dealing with your issues. Deal with your issues. And let us deal with my children. The country is in pain, not because Patrick has died, but we have this country that's has no forgiveness. Women are dying, Minister. I'm an academic. My study is on intimate partner violence, and he knows that. I went to prisons and interviewed 16 men who killed their wives. 16 men from all 4 correctional centers. I sat there listening to these men justifying their deeds. Coming back with findings, I said, Patrick, I am not this activist who will be going to courts with placards. I'm not solving anything. We need to find the roots, the causes of gender-based violence. The causes of gender-based violence. I taught my daughter that don't grow up and say you want to be married to a rich man. Don't. Don't grow up and say, I want him to pay this amount of lobola. Don't. You can do it yourself. You can buy your house. You can buy a car. Go to school. Do the best. Patrick was not educated. He was just naturally intelligent. When I gave him my findings, he was blown away. I was sick that week, Minister, from all the correctional centers. I was sick. And when I listened to these men, I saw myself in all the women that died. I saw myself. And I pray to God and I thank God for saving my life. Him being an activist was not an act. And he carried the weight of when people came to our house and crying for help, we saw ourselves. We saw ourselves, how we used to behave, how we used to do things. And it was so easy for us to help these people. Baga Shai, ke a le leboga. Baga Maake, Baga Ramocha. Baga Siakatsie. Let me just, hey, he comes from a very, not quite so, discerning di two fair. My husband also from Kohamotswehe, Mabaso, Tela, Musi, Morake, Khamedi, Khadebe, Swelankomo, like, I even said, we don't need people, Kore Khokatlala bus stay 5, and Ronako Khai, we are only 5 siblings. With all the social ills in that family, honestly, all social ills. But they love each other. They support each other. They support each other. Mama Lume and all the Mama Lumes, Borangwani, my brothers, Mrs. Shai. She was also married young. They take young girls, these men. She was a baby, but we kept each other, strong. Same challenges, same issues, same challenges, and we grew from those challenges. We grew from those challenges. So gender-based violence is real. I always look at my boys and say, let us not duplicate. Let us not duplicate. This is a disease. Let us not duplicate. Cry for help. They went through, when I say social ills, all of them, we know them. That's how real these issues are. So let's pray that we have a forgiving heart. Let us pray for our souls, that we are a forgiving country, a forgiving nation. I don't know if you came to my house and you saw that bath in our bedroom. That was our brainstorming area, me and Patrick. He would act all these things. I would talk about gender-based violence issues, and I was always behind him, giving him information, giving him all the facts about it. There are so many perpetrators, and it's sad. It is sad. Let us raise our kids to be proud of who they are and not depending on men or not depending on women. Let us be proud and work. Let us be partners. When you marry someone, be in partnership. Be in partnership. Nobody must depend on anyone. Nobody. If you can buy a house and he can't buy a house and you start complaining, that's not partnership. Do it with love. It was hard for us. It was hard for me, having to really pretend all the time. My colleagues only discovered a few days ago that I'm married to Patrick Shai, because the pressure is just too much for us. It's just too much. Messi Park and all Dobsonville communities, he left all those marks. Start working, continue working. He will be very happy. And I'm sure where he is, he's looking at us and laughing and thinking, because this is what he liked, actually. This is what he loved. He loved pictures. My house is full of his pictures. I have a few. I had to deal with this ego all the time and can you just, come to earth? So we love you as a Shai family. We love you with all our faults. We are not perfect and we will never be perfect, but in the eyes of God, we are perfect. What people say, Chaba, Sepi, Kopano, shouldn't matter. What people say about your father, about us as a family, shouldn't matter. Don't allow people to shame you. Don't allow people to shame you. Don't. You know yourself. If you say I'm ugly, and I look at myself and I see something else, I won't believe you. Take it like that. Don't be defined by social media and the comments and everything. He made mistakes. He was not perfect. I was not perfect. I was not. But we are not defined by what society thinks or wants. We are going to carry on praying for strength. I'll give you cups to ask for strength daily and give my grandkids the love that Patrick loved them. He took these grandkids as his own. He knew that he had to pay school fees for them, and he wasn't working. Patrick didn't care about acting, actually. He was fired so many times. He didn't care, but when it came to this GBV, it is because it's something that was eating him for many years of his life, for many years, that how do I become a role model? How? He was striving for perfection. But at that point, it was time for him to leave. It was. Because we didn't feel, we didn't see anything. It just happened. It was his time on that day. So South Africa, let us forgive, because God forgives us all the time, always. Let us forgive. Let us forgive. Our husbands, bana le bana, let us forgive. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. We still love you. We still love you. Your support means a lot to us. I don't know, my kids, if they want to say anything, I mean, Chaba is 38 this year. Tepi is 31. Remind me, I'm old. My son, Kopano, who is the engine, is 20 how much? 20-something. Khanya and Rorisan and Kwezi. Oma, Ntakhale. He loved you so much. He loved you so much. We were looking at the video where he was dancing with these kids in the house this morning. But I hope we can take this lesson and realize that there are issues. There are issues in the society. We're dealing with our own demons. We all dealing with those demons. All I can plead with you is a prayer for my kids. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. And all the perpetrators that are in this house, change begins with you. Change begins with you. Kulumandot. Talk. Scream. Scream. Kulumandot. But I want to thank you for listening to me. Listening to me. But I'll keep praying that my kids, I will pray that God gives me strength to fill his gap. Really, I'll pray. I'll pray. So let us celebrate him. Natsebo Jaiva, all-star guy. Ke a khalemela, o tla ba kentse di skinny jean, ke ntwana please, like lukisa buruku, buyanga lukisa. Hey, Masechaba, you know, so I'm sure he's playing that game wherever he is. I mean, he's confusing people who don't matter what's wrong with this guy. You know, what's wrong with this guy? The last joke he told Patrick Shai when we met them, he used to be a yellow bone. Bare, how? Biale, what happened? Arasele nyalo. Awa. So, you know. Kore in his life, ke phela le Pat na sa lebale amphala, like really, ke re bathong. Like, he's looking at me, no, le khabareng. Maybe Wampala now because he's an angel, whatever he is. He had no chance, but yeah. Thank you, South Africa, for loving him, for even hating him. Thank you. It is a lesson for us, for all the families that are going through what we went through. Ask God.